particular slide here, everything is moving really slow. I don't know why. Okay. I need a volunteer to read the learning target for me for summarizing literary text. You don't say anything, I'm going to call you.
I can do it.
All right, thank you.
Identifying and summarizing key details will help you develop a deeper understanding of any literary text you read.
Okay, when you summarize a story or drama, you are briefly retelling its key details. Key details are the most important, are what's most important about the character, setting, main problem, and events, which is what I just shared with you all in the anchor chart. The easiest way I can think about how you would summarize is if you just saw the latest movie that came out and you were trying to explain to someone what that movie is about, you would give them who the characters are. You may inadvertently discuss the setting, and you would give them some of the key events and even allude to the problem. However, you want them to actually see the film, so you don't give the ending. Okay, so think about it like that. Okay, so summary is very short and brief. All right, how many, you can drop it in the chat, are familiar with the Disney film Mulan? Okay. If you are familiar with Mulan, can somebody kind of give me a little bit of what that movie or that story, that Disney story, is about? Please not Khadijah, let's get somebody else. And nobody's familiar with Mulan, the animated Disney movie?
Mizam?
Yes, Mizam. What's Mulan about?
It's about how a girl wants to become a warrior, so she disguises herself as a man and fights in the army.
Okay, that's exactly what it's about, right? And she had to disguise herself because in her time, in her culture, women were not allowed to fight in wars or become warriors. So if you haven't checked that movie out, it's pretty cool. You want to take a look at it. And I know in the upcoming months, they're actually going to turn the animated version into a live action version. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead to the story of Mulan. It says The Legend of Hua Mulan. And I'm going to blow it up a little bit better. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll move it over because you all are going to help me fill in my chart. Now, what I do want you to recognize is that the main problem is already given and established for you all. Today, you all are going to help me to determine the characters and setting, the events, and the conclusion only for this small bit of story right here. So it says the main problem is Mulan is the only one in her family able to go to war, but girls cannot join the army, which goes back and reiterates what Mizan just so eloquently explained to us. Okay, so let's look at the story, The Legend of Mulan. I'm going to try to just a little bit larger. Can everybody see that on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, I need a volunteer to start to read. Lee Antoine, thank you so much for volunteering, sir. Can you go ahead and start to read The Legend of Hua Mulan? And as he's reading, I want you all to think about the character, setting, events, and conclusion for this portion of the story. Go ahead, Lee Antoine.
Beloved daughter, said the old man, do not do this. The young woman shook her head. You are too old to serve. My brother is but a child, and I am the only one fit to fight. And so she put on men's clothing, left her village, and joined the army.
Okay, Cece. Thank you, Lee Antoine. You did an awesome job. Cece, go ahead and continue.
At first, the soldiers teased her. The boy is so short, no hair on his face, no strength in those arms, and all they said was true. but she was stubborn and cunning. Her will act, her will and her wit on their respect. Soon the soldiers recognized her bravery and her brilliance in battle.
Okay, thank you. Awesome job. Josiah, can you read the next set? For 12 years?
For 12 years she fought alongside the men, but then the war ended, and the soldiers brought her home. After getting her family, she disappeared into that house. Shortly, a woman dressed in a dress emerged. "Who are you?" asked the soldiers. "Where is our fighter?" "I am Hua Milan," she said, "and you are my brother in arms." All was silent. Then one soldier smiled, others joined him, and then the army let loose a cheer like none can't see anything. None the village would ever hear again.
Okay, great job. Let me just stop very briefly. Norms, remember, if you are not the one that's speaking, please keep your mic muted because I do hear that feedback. Okay, we're going to go ahead. I'm trying to slide it again. We're going to go ahead and you all are going to help me fill in this graphic organizer for the story of Mulan. Okay, your camera one should not be on. That is a no-no. If your camera is on, turn your camera off now. We are not doing that. And Jocelyn, I will need to speak to you after class. Please go ahead and turn your camera off and mute your mic as well. Thank you for following directions. Okay, let's look at characters and setting. Let's see. Khadijah, can you help me find the characters and setting for this particular story, the short version of what we read?
The characters are Mulan, the army, and the old man.
Okay. So in the story, though, it mainly focuses on Mulan and who else?
And the soldiers.
Okay, and where would you say the story takes place?
You can say maybe at war.
Okay, well, we know they're eventually going to be at war, but look at the start of the story. Where does the story initially take place? Kind of scroll through.
At her house.
This area here. Those who know, you can type it in the chat as well. Go back and look at this second part here. The young woman shook her head. "You are too old to serve. My brother is but a child. I am the only one fit to fight." And so she put on men's clothing, left her village, and joined the army. So where was she in the story?
In her village.
Yes, thank you. Okay. All right, and then we have the main problem. You can go ahead and mute your mic. Thank you, Khadijah. All mics should be muted at this time. And then we have the main problem. The main problem is that Mulan is the only one in her family able to go to war, but we know that girls cannot join the army. What was one of the reasons, before we move into the events here, because this first section here kind of gives you the character setting and main problem. What was the reason that was determined why she was the only one in her family that was able to go to war? Even though she was a girl and she's going to do it secretly, how do we know she's the only one in her family able to go to war? What does she say? Think about, when we look for evidence, we think about what the characters say and what they do and what they're thinking. What does she say? And this is open to anyone. What does she say? If you look here, it says, "My brother is but a child." So my brother is but a child. What she's saying is, yes, I have a male that's in my household who would be able to go to war, but he's too young to go to war. That's what that's suggesting. Okay, let's look at events. Okay, so after she decides to leave her village and go to war, what are are the things that transpire that happens to her? And what I'm going to look at, I'm going to actually look in this section. Please mute your mic if you're not speaking. I know exactly who that is, and I don't want to say that to you, but please go ahead and mute your mic. You're going to look in this section of the story, and that's going to give you the main things that happen. I'll read it again, and then someone can jump in and help me out, fill in the events. Let's try to find 2 events here. At first, the soldiers teased her. The boy is so short. No hair on his face. Remember, men would probably have facial hair. No strength in those arms, and all they said was true. But she was stubborn and cunning. Her will and her wits won their respect. Soon the soldiers recognized her bravery and brilliance in battle. So what happened? What 2 things occurred from this second paragraph that I read here? Madison, what would you say? What are the 2 things that happened in this section here? Okay, anybody can jump in at this point. What would you say are the things that happen from what I read?
I'll say that she gained the boy's respect.
Okay, now what, but before she gained their respect, I'll put that in there. What did they initially do though? How did they initially treat her?
They teased her.
Who was that? Aisha? Was that Aisha?
Yes.
Okay, so they were teasing her, right? How do we know that they were teasing her? And then Josiah will come back to you. What evidence suggests that they were teasing her? Anybody can jump in. What evidence suggests that they teased her? What did they do? Jocelyn, mute your camera. What did they do? What did they say? Mizan, what did they say?
In paragraph 2, they say they kept teasing her and said that she was too short and that she had no hair on her face or strength in her arms.
Very good. Great job. Then it said, then Josiah, you said that she gained the soldiers' respect. How was she able to gain the soldiers' respect? What do you think that means? What did she do to gain the other men's respect?
Her will and her wits.
Okay, what do you think that means when they say her will and her wits won their respect? What do you think that means?
Her skills?
Yeah, her skills, her fighting skills, her ability to fight well. How long did she fight with the other soldiers, guys? Look in this paragraph here. How long did she fight?
For 12 years.
That's right. Okay, let's move to the conclusion. What happens at the end of the story? And I'll go back and read that section, and I would love to hear from some other individuals who I have not heard from. It says, after greeting her family, she disappeared into their house. Shortly, a woman in a dress emerged. Who are you? Asked the soldiers. Where's our fighter? I am Hua Milan, she said, and you are my brothers in arms. She was silent. Then one soldier smiled, others joined him, and then they let loose a cheer like none the village would ever hear again. So if you had to tell me in one brief sentence, what happened at the end of the story?
Lee Antoine, she went into the house and then she changed into a dress and came back out, and then the soldiers realized.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Oh, I think your mic is muted. Can somebody help him out? She returned home, came out in a dress, and the soldiers realized what?
That she was a woman.
Right, that she was. Now, how did they react